Welcome. Short episode. It's actually Friday night. I'm going to release this in the morning. I just got back from the Dallas card show. And one of the things I was contemplating before I even went was a what if, just a short what if. I don't want to speak anything into being, but I just thought, here I am, I watch movies that have these robberies and things that happen. I just thought, what if there was a card show robbery? Well, of course, it'd be a masked robbery if somebody was so inclined. A card show is a place where there's a whole bunch of cards and a fair amount of cash. And nowadays you get to walk in with a mask. And people would say, well, who was the culprit? Who was, and he said, well, they had a mask on. And if they're in some nondescript size, average height and weight, and with a mask and maybe a ball cap and, baggy clothes where you can't really pick them out, what would that look like? Well, the card show I just got back from was a lot of fun. It was basically you take a room and you double the size or have the number of dealers and then have social distancing very much followed with, it seemed like it would have been a really crowded show if the room would have been smaller. There was a good crowd and there were some excellent dealers there, but it wasn't, it perhaps is the new normal. So very spread out. Not everybody had masks on, but most people did. Like I said, if somebody was there to rob, I don't even know how they would do it. And frankly, if you're in Texas and you walk into a big room and they do this in the bank and they get everybody to put up their hands and empty out their wallets and purses and things like that. Well, I don't know, but if you live in Texas, if you were inclined to try to rob a room, I think there'd be some people with handguns in their concealed carry. You might have an unpleasant surprise if you were a robber thinking, oh, I could do this. I'd have a mask on. I've had experiences of being robbed, and that's kind of what I was going to get at here. And two of them have to do with cards. Nobody got hurt, and that's always, even if there is a robbery, you hope nobody gets hurt. So it wasn't one robbery, I would say, was at a card show. And rather than, the problem with somebody trying to rob a card show is if they try to rob all the cards, they're going to get hernia. They need a forklift. Now, if they're trying to clean out the cash, they could, fill up a bag. But if you try to pick out some graded cards and lug them out, you wouldn't be moving very fast unless you brought a whole bunch of people. And then that's, where's the secret in that? So cash is simpler. And my robbery, when I had stuff stolen from me at a card show, they were cards. I had three guys come up to the table, two kept me busy, and the third one kind of palmed off a stack of really good cards that were on the edge of my table. And when I found out, or when I realized what had happened, they were gone. One of the morals of the story is, I wish they'd stolen $100 rather than $100 worth of cards, or $500 instead of $500 worth of cards. Sometimes it's a more emotional situation if you lose the cards rather than the cash. Both feel terrible. But if somebody takes cards now, not like back in the day, if they were graded, they have serial numbers. If they're good cards that are serially numbered anyway, you might have a way. In fact, some of these thieves get caught, not based on the cash, but based on the particular cards or memorabilia they get. So, and one other story where I had my car was stolen, and I had purchased a valuable sports card collection, and it was in the trunk, and there was cash in there as well. The cash that I had, my extra cash that I had, there's a fair amount of cash, a valuable sports card collection. And again, I'm not going to get into all that detail other than to say that for 3 days, I think it was 3 days, I just was really frustrated. My car had been stolen. I'd lost these cards. I'd lost this cash. But I've got to promise you, even though I really liked my car and I really enjoy cash, I was most upset about losing the cards. And that's, the journey of the collector who values cards sometimes more than cash. Not fun to get anything taken from you. I clearly am advising you to be careful with your cards, with your cash, and actually with your car as well. I did get my car back. It had been messed up, but for whatever reason, they never looked in the trunk. And if they had looked in the trunk, they would have seen the cards and thought, well, what's this? But they might have thrown them into a dumpster. So thankfully, they never did that. And again, any robbery, it's a lot better to have a robbery where you're not there than which is that's what happened there too. It was stolen out of the parking lot. So at any rate, not a great story, but I like to do these short, not so great stories on the weekends. So again, Kyle Robertson did a great job. I really enjoyed the the medical security, not so much the financial security, but I thought he did a nice job. I'm going to go back tomorrow. And again, a lot of fun. I hope the hobby's getting back to normal, and I hope this is a pace setter for shows in your area. So thanks. Be back on Monday.